is going on, everybody? Friday the 13th. Friday, February 13th, 2026. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. We got more great economic news. Oh, yeah, because I know how excited everybody gets when I talk about economic numbers. I'm only kidding, of course. I know you guys all find that incredibly boring, but I don't, so we're going to talk about it. Also, the SAVE Act continues to be in jeopardy because of establishment neocon Republicans who don't ever want anything to change. Luckily, only like two of them can talk. So we will get down to the brass tacks on what's going to be happening with the SAVE Act. Also, Don Lemon was arraigned today in a Minnesota court for violating numerous laws. He pled not guilty to that, even though he videotaped himself doing it. Odd. Very, very odd. The EPA continues to roll back ridiculous climate-era policies. We could have had Lee Zeldin. Instead, we got the Wicked Witch of West New York. Absolutely a shame. Oh, and another thing that I forgot to mention. Democrats think that you women out there, all the ladies watching this, with your tiny female brains, can't fill out a form. Very odd. Very odd. They moved on from one oppressed community, and they went back to another one. Very odd stuff. And, Josh Hawley. We're going to show you the Josh Hawley clip because he went off on Keith Ellison for basically being part of the Minnesota fraud. We'll get down to all of that. Before we get started, guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling here at the 3 p.m. hour. Let's pop this live chat up onto the screen today. Let's see, what do we got here? Where we got? Who's excited? Who's excited for the Don Lemon clip? It's not even really a Don Lemon clip as much as it is a Don Lemon supporter clip. But we're going to have our... Roger knows, I guess. I don't know what's going on there. But it's certainly a good time. Deb, what's up? Kit Kat, how we doing? What's happening, everybody, guys? Make sure you do me a favor. Brandon Campbell on Facebook. Until you use your real picture, I don't care what you have to say. Just so you know that. Dawn Biz, what's happening? Callie, Dawn. Callie knows. Callie knows what's coming. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Because I sent it to her about 20 minutes ago. Kit Kat, are you sure you're excited for the clip? Are you sure? Because I think some people know what's coming. I think some people may know what's going to be coming in a minute. Once again, guys, do me a favor and share the video out all over the place. Hit the like button wherever it is you may be watching. If you're watching on Facebook, do me a favor, tag your followers, hit that @ button. Sharing the video is the best way to help out this show and this program. Make sure you're following across all platforms. Before we get started, guys, do me a favor and head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. Guys, I got to tell you, I said it, I don't know if I said it yesterday or not, but I'll say it again today. The F around and find out hoodies are absolutely flying off the shelf. You guys are picking these up in mass. I love it. Mine is on the way. I'm really excited about it. I know a few people got it. I know TPH got his. Make sure you guys pick yours up today. We got them in every color. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. It's the best way to support this show and everything we've got going on over here. So the SAVE Act is in serious jeopardy. Why? John Thune is considering nuking the filibuster, which normally I would say I'm not totally in favor of. Before we change institutions, I think we should think long and hard about it, but it doesn't seem like we're ever going to get a supermajority in the Senate ever again, so this would be a good time to do it. The problem with that is that there are currently 5 Republicans who are going to vote against the damn thing anyway. Now, some of these won't come as a shock to you. Some of them won't come as a shock to you. Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Tom Tillis, and there's one more, I believe. I got the list right here. Dan Sullivan of Alaska. Apparently, they live in Alaska. That's probably why they're upset about it. But, so even if John Thune does nuke the filibuster, we don't have the votes in order to do this. Those are the 5 Republican holdouts in passing the SAVE Act. Apparently, they're not too thrilled about it. Of course, the irony of the entire thing when it comes to the SAVE Act has to do with voter ID. And has to do with whether or not you need an ID to vote. Now, the irony of the entire thing, as Tim Burchett points out, is that 213 Democrats used an ID to vote before voting against having ID. Let's work that out one more time. Let's work that out. They used an ID to vote against having voter ID.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I just couldn't help but think about the irony of this. 213 Democrats voted against the Save America Act yesterday. The Save America Act, what does it do? You gotta prove you're an American citizen to get registered to vote, and you gotta show a dadgum photo ID to vote. And that ID, 213 Democrats used their IDs to vote yesterday. Nobody hollered about racism there. It's just ridiculous, folks. This thing is just about corruption and it's about control. And the Democrat Party ought to be ashamed. I mean, it's just pathetic. That's not any way to treat people. We ought to have safe elections. And they are fighting us tooth and nail. Hopefully we can get enough votes in the Senate and it'll happen. I believe Leader Thune is on the right path, getting it there. And our sponsor, Chip Roy, and the House did a great job. We passed it 3 dadgum times. And now the Senate, Senator Mike Lee, I was with him last night at supper, and he's the man. I'm a fan, big time. So anyway, let's keep going. Call your U.S. senators and tell them we need the Save America Act.
Well, absolutely we do. So make sure you guys call your senators and do that. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't point out the Democratic hypocrisy in this entire thing, because, of course, if it wasn't for double standards, Democrats would have no standards at all. So, for example, let's just say you lived in the state of Georgia, and you wanted to go to the town hall that your senator had, Jon Ossoff. You would have had to show an ID in order to get into the damn place. That's right. So you don't need an ID to vote, but you need an ID to come listen to the guy who's about to vote against making sure you have to have an ID to vote, but you got to make sure you bring your ID in order to get into the place to criticize him about not voting for the thing that would make you need an ID. That's right.
Senator Ossoff, who opposes this bill. I mean, he's out there fighting. This is just terrible, right, Senator? Requiring voter ID to vote. Well, hear me on this. Just hear me out. Well, to get into his town hall, you had to have a voter ID. What is he trying to suppress the vote for people to get into his own town hall? What a contradiction. It's laughable. It's absurd. It's embarrassing. But why? Because it's safer. Of course it's safer, Senator. So why? Why are they doing that? Well, for a long time, Democrats have went with the idea that, black people just can't get IDs. They just can't figure out a way to do it. Because Democrats have always been and will always be the racism party. Now, this isn't really working out too well for them because people are starting to realize that getting an ID most people can figure out how to do it. I've played on the show before Ami Horowitz of the Daily Wire, who went to Columbia University and asked all the rich white liberals inside of Columbia whether or not black people can get ID. And of course, the soft bigotry of low expectations that come from the elitist in college, they said, well, they just can't figure it out. They just can't come up with a way to do it. Well, Ami Horowitz then went across the street because Columbia University is in the middle of a neighborhood. Went across the street and started asking black people if they knew how to get an ID, and they said, yeah, the DMV is right over there. So Democrats have had to switch up their strategy. They've had to switch it up.
They've had to switch it up. And now they're going with, before it was black people couldn't get an ID. Oh, okay, Brandon Campbell. Yeah, that's how you get banned. There we go. That's how you get banned, bro. They've decided to switch up their strategy. Since black people have started to get offended by it, we need to find a new victim group. We got to find a new victim group. So now they're going after the women.
They're trying to say this is a voter ID bill. That's not what's happening here. Let's just look at a typical mom. You guys must know some working mothers. The ones that I hear from across my district and across this country, they are struggling to put food on the table for their kids, working 2 jobs to try and make ends meet, trying to juggle getting their kids to school, maybe catching an occasional game, fearing they're never going to be able to find childcare they can afford, and praying nobody in the family gets sick because they can't afford a doctor either. And now you're going to say to those women, because they got married and changed their names, they have to go down to a clerk and prove they're citizens, sign affidavits, do this in person? This is a minefield of red tape that you have put in front of women and American citizens.
That's right, ladies. You see, you've got to decide. You've got to decide on whether or not you may want to catch a game or fill out a form and have someone mail you something. Because apparently Representative Clark there thinks that in order to get this form, you've got to ride on horseback. But that is the new talking point of the Democratic Party. But that's not going to work because most people out there know, most people out there feel that, well, that's ridiculous. Naturally. Because it is. So now they got to change it up. Now that the women thing's not working, you just went out and called all the women in America stupid with their tiny little female brains. So now we're going to go to rural voters. Rural voters, you know. Because John Dutton on the Yellowstone Ranch, he doesn't really have the ability to get an ID. You know, they're all the way out there in the boonies. So who are we going to listen to? Who is going to show you the unbelievable concern of the rural voters in America? Well, naturally, it's going to be liberal elitist Abby Phillip. Abby Phillip, who knows a lot about what it's like to be a rural voter in America. She lives in New York City. She went to school in Boston, and she grew up in Alexandria, Virginia. So she's really concerned about the downtrodden rural voter. Suddenly, she cares about them. Now, unfortunately, she said that to an actual rural voter, and Scott Jennings wasn't having any of it.
Before, it's voters. Not. It actually, there's an argument to be made that.
And just absorb the liberal freakout on this panel. It's actually glorious.
Red state voters, women, poor white voters could be just as.
I know you think they're dumb too, don't you?
Yeah,
I mean that's the thing.
Nobody
I hear these arguments. I've heard.
The aptly named Charles Blow sitting next to Scott Jennings. He seems befuddled by this very notion.
Democrats all week long.
No, please don't. No, you listen.
There's the deflection from talking about Donald Trump's racism.
I'm actually
right there.
You should be thinking about your constituents or your.
Yeah, Abby, you tell Scott what he should be feeling.
I
think they're smart enough to figure out how to register to vote, Abby.
Hold on. Most Americans don't have a passport. Many Americans don't have access to their birth certificate. Many women, a majority of women who change their names for marriage have to provide additional proof that they've changed their legal names in order to register to vote.
I have heard Democrats make these same arguments.
Why don't you actually respond to the substance of what I'm saying?
I am, and
as
the substance
opposed
is this.
to making this about something that it's not.
You're saying,
it's not just about voter ID.
married
it's
women,
also about
black
who has
voters,
access
and rural people
to,
are too stupid to figure out how to register to vote.
No, that's not.
That is not what Democrats.
Excuse me?
Making
That
this
is
argument all
so
week. It's
offensive.
crazy.
That
That's
is so
not what she
offensive.
said.
Let me
saying
offer
they
the
can't
proof.
figure out how
Let
to
me
vote?
offer the
Are you
proof.
saying
they can't
This
figure out how
is
to
the
vote?
exact same
I'm just saying it is a
argument.
fact that a majority of Americans do not have passports. Many Americans, including white people, okay, do not have their original birth certificate or access.
You didn't say
to
what
it.
you said. Rural.
I would love to offer the proof of this.
Yeah, because that is also relevant. It doesn't matter to me where people
I guess
live.
I have a little more faith in
Do they have
rural
access?
America and married women than you do.
Look, I don't know
You're saying
why.
they can't
I
figure
don't
out
know
how to
why
vote?
you think
What
why
is
you're
going
making
on
this
here?
about whether you're smart or not.
You're
Access
saying that they can't
to-
vote, that they
access to
can't figure out how to document to register
Scott,
to vote?
Access to documentation of proof of where you were born or proof of citizenship is an additional thing that people
Because
will
at
have
one point,
to do.
black
such a-
people actually
She
weren't even
describes it as a
allowed
barrier to vote.
It's a barrier.
It is a barrier.
This
Scott, do you have-
is
Scott, do you have your
exactly.
original birth certificate?
Yes.
Okay.
But at
This
one
is-
point, black
Does
people
everybody
weren't
that you
allowed
know
to
have their
birth
original
certificates
birth
in this country.
certificate?
Everybody that I know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because why wouldn't Scott Jennings know if everyone he knows has their original birth certificate? First off, I don't have my original birth certificate. I ordered a copy. Why? Because I'm not dumb. Just like the majority of the American people are not dumb. And they know how to do it. So this isn't working out for them. So instead, what the smug liberal elites on CNN will do is they'll say, you shouldn't care about this. I know you do, average voter out there. I know that this might be the only topic in America that polls upward of 70% across the totality of the voting base, but you shouldn't care about it.
Why are we tightening this noose around people when, I mean, just simply,
Can the people,
why can't we do it
the
online?
polling
Why
would
can't you do it
suggest that
online?
people want this.
I think the
Why,
polling
so you're
also-
telling
The
people
people
that they're
don't want
wrong?
the
I
SAVE
think-
Act.
yes.
People are saying they support
I
voter
am.
ID. The SAVE Act is very different. And when you say leave it to the states, I mean, this is what happened
Proof
when
of
they got
citizenship.
it.
You see,
voting
your
rights.
problem is that you're caring about the wrong thing. You don't care about what Bakari Sellers cares about, you peasant. And Bakari Sellers, who, has worked for every network on planet Earth at this point, the guy can't hold a job, just keeps circling the wagons. You should care about what he cares about, because this is what Democrats do. And according to some people in the chat, like Brandon Campbell, if you don't care about what they want you talking about, then you're just not a good person. By the way, Brandon, it's an hour show. Stay tuned, and I'll cover the exact topic that you want me to talk about. Do me a favor, put on Fox and let me know whether or not they found Savannah Guthrie's mother yet, because that seems to be what a lot of the media cares about. I care about securing our elections, but apparently to some people, like Brandon Campbell, who I don't know, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Shithead. So the SAVE Act continues to be in real peril right now. In real peril because of the neocon Republicans that refuse to change. They refuse to move on. They refuse to go with the times. They refuse to do anything differently. Yes, I'm talking to you. And because of that, they're going to get an awful result in November. Maybe, Dan Sullivan, he's a little bit younger, but maybe if Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski or Mitch McConnell weren't 1,000 years old, maybe they would see that the times are moving past them. Maybe they would see that things are changing. And it's time for them to, Mitch McConnell can barely stand up at this point, but he still finds a way. He still finds a way to hold his relevancy with many people in the Senate. Now, there are some people in the Senate that are actually attempting to do good things, attempting to actually try and make things a little bit better. And one of them is Josh Hawley. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to mypillow.com and use promo code LOUD. That's mypillow.com, promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's mypillow.com, promo code LOUD. Pick yourself up one of those bathrobes, Mike Scott. He's running for governor of Minnesota. Speaking of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, who's the Attorney General of Minnesota, sat down in front of the Senate over the course of, I believe it was yesterday. Over the course of, I think it was yesterday. It was, and he got into an interesting exchange with Keith Ellison. Now, Josh Hawley has straight out come out and said it, that Keith Ellison may have perjured himself while he was testifying yesterday, which I hope he did, when he was asked if he took campaign donations from the crooks who defrauded the American taxpayer to the tune of $250 million. I would love to see if Pam Bondi indict him for this. Moreover, I would just like everybody to see what Josh Hawley did to genuinely one of the worst people in America, one of the most nefarious actors who allowed this fraud in Minnesota to go on for years and years and years and years because he was benefiting from it. Here's Senator Hawley.
Mr. Ellison, let me start with you. You're the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. Do I have that correct? That's a yes?
Sir, you're aware of my job. You know the answer to that.
You're not going to answer my questions? Are we going to start this way? Are you the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, yes or no?
You know the answer.
Mr. Ellison, you're in my courtroom now. You're under oath. So I suggest that you answer my questions. You the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state of Minnesota, yes or no? Let's try another question. Are you familiar with the $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone? You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021, and asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you for upwards of an hour about state investigators going after them, and they begged you to help them, and you agreed to it, amazingly. And we know you did.
That's not
because
true.
It's all caught on tape.
Yeah,
Every single sentence is caught on tape. Here's what you said. Let's
And
take a look.
obviously you didn't listen
said,
to the
it's not a
tape.
question. You said to them, send me the names of all these folks who are investigating them. You said to them, send me their names. And I'll take that list, and I'll call the person over at Education who was investigating them and say, what's going on? Why am I getting these complaints? Then he went on to say, I already have my team working on this. What day should we get together to discuss it again? You made pledge after pledge to them. You said, we've got to make sure this guy who's investigating them stops it. You said, you have my attention. I'm concerned about this. You said, let's go fight these people, meaning the people who were investigating the fraud. Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Please, we're all ears.
So first of all, you're cherry picking quotes out of there.
Why did you help them?
I thought you were going to let me answer.
Why did you
Are you
help
going to let
them?
me answer?
Why did you help
You
them?
let me answer and I'll answer you.
Tell the truth and I'll let you answer.
I will tell the truth.
Good.
Let's do that.
That'd be a nice change. Why'd you help them?
Now see, Mr. Chairman, I didn't come here to be insulted. I came here voluntarily.
You came here for the truth. Let's
I
have
came
it.
here- I
Why
didn't
did
come
you
here
help
vol- I
them? The
came here
quotes are
voluntarily.
here. They're
Now
in
look,
black and white, and every
yeah,
member of this audience
and they're
can
cherry-
listen to the
and they're-
recording. It's 54 minutes long. It's all in public. You can Google it right now and listen to it.
and listen to it
Why'd
all.
you help them?
First of all, I didn't help them.
You did help
No,
them.
I did not. I certainly didn't.
You're saying you didn't do anything for them. You didn't.
Well, wait a minute.
I already have my team working on this again. That's not you?
I have
It's a ventriloquist?
my team assisted with the information that led to the prosecution and conviction of these people.
No, you didn't. You didn't lift
yes,
a finger
we
to
did.
prosecute him. No, you did not.
No,
You didn't
because
lift a finger
it
to
was a
prosecute
federal
him.
prosecution.
You had, BS. You had
Okay,
whistleblowers
but then-
come to you as early as 2019.
You're the one talking BS.
Hey, listen, it's my time.
Doesn't know what you're talking about,
Oh,
sir.
no, sir. You
You're the
now have
one
encountered the truth and you don't like it.
cherry-picking
Why'd you take their
You're the
money?
one taking their
Why'd you
money.
take their money?
I didn't.
You took
No, that's a false statement.
$10,000.
No, that's a false statement. That is a false
$10,000
statement.
9 days after the meeting.
False statement.
You took $10,000. Here's what
Untrue.
happened. They went to your office.
That's a
They
false
solicited
statement.
money from
They
you.
did
They
not come to
solicited
my
help
office.
from you.
That's also wrong.
They came to your office.
No,
It
they
was your
didn't.
official office. You
No, they
met with them
didn't.
for 54 minutes.
No, they didn't.
asked you for help. You pledged it to them, and they talked repeatedly about money. In fact, it's all they talked
That's
about.
a lie.
Money, 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 money. They
True.
said, we
Untrue.
will put our dollars in the right place. We will support candidates that will fight to protect our interests. You replied, that's right. They said, if you are
that is
securing
not
your
true.
donor base and securing your power base, you can act the way you want. You replied, money is freedom. They said the amount of money circulating, I'm reading the transcript. The amount of money
No, you're
circulating in our community
misreading the
today is powerful, and we haven't realizing it in a meaningful way. And you said, give me the specifics. And 9 days later, you took $10,000
that's a lie.
from people who were then indicted. It's in your reports. Why'd
Sir,
you do it?
Sir,
Was it worth it?
You know what? This is a theatrical performance.
10,000. This is the truth.
It
This is
has
what
nothing
accountability
to do-
looks like, of which you've had
No,
none.
no,
you helped fraudsters defraud your
Lie.
state and this government of $9 billion, and
Sir,
you got a
this is-
fat campaign contribution out of
This is
it.
completely
You ought to be indicted.
untrue. Well,
That's the truth.
I think we've made the point. Let's keep the tenor
Well,
just
for
a
the
little
record,
more calm.
I'll ask how I want
he's
to, Senator
lying,
Paul.
and that's the truth.
Oh, no, this is all on the record,
no, sir.
Did you bother
You are-
Did you bother to investigate where the money that you facilitated their fraud for, where it went? Do you know where it went, what it was used for, the fraudulent money? I do, because we just heard testimony about it yesterday.
Because we
the
were
funds
key
went
players
to
in the
hundreds of millions of
investigation.
dollars to
Yes,
terrorist
we
groups,
do
to
know.
transnational criminal organizations, to the drug trade, to drug trafficking, to child trafficking. And you took $10,000
That's a lie.
and helped them do it. You know, the other thing is,
untrue statement.
whistleblowers came to you as early as 2019. Let's look. As early as
This is
2019, whistleblower. Don't talk over me.
No,
as
no,
early
you're
as
talking over me.
2019, it's my hearing, pal. As early as
I'm not your pal.
2019,
Don't call me pal.
whistleblowers came to. Well, I should call you prisoner because you ought to be in jail.
Well, we'll see what you can
In
do about it.
2019, whistleblowers came to you in your office and referred to you fraud allegations from Feeding Our Futures, and you blew them off. Listen, your own state newspaper
That's a
investigated
lie.
it. The Minnesota Star Tribune, the Partners in Nutrition, brought its concerns to the Attorney General's office in 2018 and in 2019, and you did nothing. You did nothing for years. The only action you took is,
false statement.
once all these fraudsters came to your office
It is a
and asked
false
you to get involved
statement.
and offered you money,
Did not come to
then
my
you got
office.
involved.
They
Then
did
you
not-
took the money,
they
and then you got involved.
They did not come to my office. You're completely wrong about that.
You met with them
I did
for
not take anybody's
54
money.
minutes, and you took $10,000, and they also gave your family money. They gave your family thousands of dollars in campaign contributions in addition to what they gave
a false
you.
statement.
Let's put the
This is, you know, this is completely untrue.
The New York Post.
Yeah, we know the New York Post.
Minnesota Keith Ellison, AG, accepted campaign donations from individuals linked to the $250 million COVID fraud scheme after they were in your office. The donations came on December 20th.
Sir,
you
this
met
is
with them
not-
on December the 11th, and on January 20th, the FBI knocked over their headquarters.
No.
That's the sequence of events here.
No, it's not.
You've
the
been
sequence
right
of
at the
events.
center of this fraud
It's not
thing
the
from the
sequence of
beginning,
events.
and
It's
you've
untrue.
enabled it. And sir,
The false
you
statement.
should resign.
And sir, you should resign. I was thinking the same thing about you.
Resign.
Of course, Keith Ellison's arrogance, and the reason why I show you that entire clip is because Keith Ellison is protecting his own. He's protecting his enclave. He's protecting the Somali community. Keith Ellison is, I think he's the third or fourth highest member of the nation. I think it's the Nation of Islam or the Muslim Brotherhood. One of those two. Protecting one of the largest Islamic fraud schemes in American history. Now, I would hope that someone would do something about this. I would hope that Pam Bondi would do something about the fact that he definitely just perjured himself while he was sitting in Congress. I don't think anything's going to happen because Republicans are pussies. We just are. At least our elected ones are. I'm sure if Josh Hawley was Attorney General, something would be different. I'm sure if Matt Gaetz was Attorney General, something would be different. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. So we're stuck with what we got. We're stuck with what we got. Luckily, there are some people out there that are actually attempting to do something about the fraud. Scott Bessent over at Treasury has got an interesting new proposal. An interesting new proposal for whistleblowers who are coming forward about the fraud. Apparently, this is something that's being put in place now. So it's in the works. But he's putting together a new policy that if you are a whistleblower and you see fraud and abuse going on in your system, you can receive a portion of the money that gets clawed back from it.
Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network for whistleblowers that can actually be compensated if they come forward. Why wasn't this done before? It seems like a no-brainer.
I don't know, Joe, but it's very exciting. I think it's going to be a great way to ferret out waste, fraud, and abuse, starting in Minneapolis, which has been ground zero. So we are encouraging whistleblowers who know about fraud, people who are stealing from the American taxpayer, to come forward. At Treasury, we're setting up a website, and we will be giving rewards up to 10 to 30% of the fines that we levy.
I've been saying it every day on this show that Scott Bessent is really climbing up the list of impressive cabinet secretaries. And if he's able to find a way to put that policy into place where you get a portion of the fraud that you report. First off, I got a feeling that the reports of the fraud are going to go extremely high because let's be honest, we all know that it's happening. It's not really a secret. It's not really a secret that this stuff is happening all over the country, whether it's the homelessness going on in California or the Medicaid scandals going on here in New York or the child care incidents going on in Minnesota. This is happening everywhere. And it takes people to uncover these sorts of truths. We saw Nick Shirley on the ground the other day in California doing his best to expose some of this. We saw him in Minnesota. We've been seeing people all over the country put these sorts of pieces together. And I hope they do get a slice of it. Even if it's 10%, even if it's 1%, I will take 1% of the fraud that's going on in Minnesota. I have no problem with that whatsoever. None whatsoever. And I hope that we're able to get this. Now, there has been one arrest, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with it because sometimes I wonder why the Lord tests me. There have been a couple of arrests, a couple of non-meaningful arrests. How funny, nonetheless. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, here's Jeremy.
Hey, everybody. If you're not familiar with, then let me introduce to you Armor Colostrum. Now, I didn't know what colostrum was up until a few years ago. I'd never even really heard of it. And then my wife turned me on to Armor Colostrum. And what colostrum does is it helps regrow your hair. Not going to lie, that's the reason that I started looking into it. But then I started noticing some other things that I could benefit from. I used to get acid reflux very badly. I used to bloat very badly. It felt like I was 10 or 15 pounds heavier than I was until I made Armor Colostrum a part of my everyday schedule. And now things have changed so very much. Let me introduce to you what Armor Colostrum actually does and what it looks like. In a study measuring immune cell response to toxin, Armor Colostrum performed 32% stronger and faster than other colostrum companies. 400 plus bionutrients activated in your life, in your body to help regrow hair, strengthen your gut health, regrow your nails, toenails, and fingernails healthy, get rid of fungus, stop bloating, and more. And now you can get yours right now for up to $18 off each and every purchase at tryarmra.com. Promo code LFATV. Click the apply button once you've entered the code and watch your discount fall off. That is tryarmra.com/LFATV. Order now.
Guys, head on over to tryarmor.com/LFATV. That's tryarmor.com/LFATV. So we have seen one arrest today. No, not today. That we all continue to find genuinely hilarious. And that would, of course, be Don Lemon. Now, look, in the grand scheme of things, Don Lemon getting arrested really has no bearing on anything. He was arraigned today in federal court along with 4 other individuals who have been tied to leading that protest at the church. Here was Fox reporting on that.
Hi, Dana. Yeah, those 5 people who were federally indicted, accused of storming this church with anti-ICE agitators, are going to be arraigned this afternoon. DHS says 3 of those people were the ringleaders, accusing them of planning the riot. Now they are charged with conspiracy to deprive rights, a federal crime. One of them right here, William Kelly, was on camera saying this.
As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps.
Well, last month, agitators shouted at churchgoers there in the middle of services. Protesters targeted this church because one of the pastors works for ICE. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon, who was live streaming, is also going to be arraigned today. He said he was covering this as a journalist, but prosecutors say he knowingly joined the mob.
Now, look, Don Lemon pleading not guilty in this, despite the fact that he filmed himself doing it. Look, it really has no giant bearing on everything. However, with this happening, we get hilarity. We get funniness. We get some good stuff. Because while Don Lemon was in court today, protesters gathered outside of the courthouse to show their support for Don Lemon. And they did it in a very strange way.
Protect the press! 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 Protect the press!
This is Donald Trump did. I'm joking.
Lord, why do you test me? Why do you test me? I'm trying to be good, but then you have a bunch of protesters outside of a federal courthouse supporting Don Lemon with floppy rubber dicks. Why do you test me? Why? Because every time I see these liberal idiots in Minnesota flopping around their rubber penises, I don't know about you guys. Maybe you're not a 90s kid like I am, but all I see is this.
Holy shit, dude, I found a dildo! Stifler! Big blue rubber dicks for everyone! The people demand rubber dicks! Finch, help! Finch! Dildo! 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 What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm looking for more lesbian artifacts. Where'd you get this? Finch's ass.
That's all I see. When I see these liberal weirdos out there protesting with their floppy penises, all I can think is Stifler running around the house with a dildo. I don't know if you guys see it, but I certainly do. Also, the Mexican flag. That was odd. Don Lemon's not Mexican. What is that? Forrest? It's one of some of my favorite movies. Absolutely. They're making a new one. I guess it's called American Retirement. Who the hell knows? But they better bring everybody back. They better bring everybody back. That's all I see is Stifler running around with a floppy rubber penis. I can't imagine why we don't let these people control policy in America. I don't know. I talk for a living, and I'm almost at a loss for words because I'm trying to do good and not say things that are going to get me in trouble, and then a bunch of people do that, and I'm tested. Perhaps I failed the test. Guys, before we keep going, head on over to LFATV.us. That's LFATV.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFATV related. Check out the LFATV store. Check out Jeremy's shop. It's he's got all the Armor of God stuff over there. All of your official LFATV merchandise over there. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over to LFATV. That's the best way to keep the lights on over here. Without your support, we can't keep these shows going. So, guys, head on over to LFATV.us. That's LFATV.us. I still don't know how to respond to that. Like, thanks, Dawn. That's funny. That's some funny stuff. So let's move on from the floppy rubber penises. Very odd. We've got some more good news. Before the break, we spoke about Scott Bessent and how he continues to do phenomenal things for not only for the administration, but for the American people in its totality. Another person who is doing unbelievable work behind the scenes is, of course, Lee Zeldin. And one of the things he's doing is going to save the average American car buyer nearly $2,500 per year as the EPA rescinds the Obama administration's finding that served for the basis of climate regulations. That's right. The Trump administration has now eliminated the 2009 findings that 6 greenhouse gases are a danger to public health. President Trump and the EPA under Lee Zeldin yesterday announced the elimination of a 2009 finding that served as the basis for the U.S. action to regulate greenhouse gas emissions. Effective immediately, we are repealing this ridiculous endangerment finding and terminating all of the green emission standards imposed unnecessarily on vehicle models and engines between 2012 and 2027 and beyond, Trump said during an event at the White House. These crippling restrictions were a major factor in driving up car prices to unprecedented levels. The car that you were getting was not nearly as good. Leaders rescinded the agency's endangerment findings from 2009, established under the Obama administration, which declared 6 gases, carbon dioxide, I can't say half of these damn things, methane, nitrous oxide, perfluorocarbons, and sulfur, who names these things, pose a risk to public health. Really, what this is doing is stopping ridiculous standards from going into place, causing your new, I'm sure you guys have this on your new car. Every time I rent a car, they have these ridiculous things on them that every time you get to a red light, you have to stop. Like the car turns off for no particular reason. Here's Lee Zeldin.
And as a cherry on top, we are ending the federal government's push to get manufacturers to install that Obama switch, the almost universally despised start-stop feature. There will be no more climate participation trophies awarded to manufacturers for making Americans' cars die at every red light and stop sign. It's over, done, finished.
We didn't deserve him, New York. We had him we had him for a little while, and now he's gone. Now he's off in D.C. We could have had him as governor. Poof. Out the door he went. Did the big, I tell you, this guy Brandon Campbell, he's really obsessed with me. Did the Big Brother kill switch in cars pass? They rescinded it. There you go. Boy, you are driving me crazy today. I don't even know who the hell you are. Driving me absolutely nuts. Don't you find it odd, from Diane, New York City, don't you find it odd that all of them, boxes and boxes of dildos. Yeah, Diane, we played that on the show last, what was it, last week? When did we play that video of the giant rubber penises everywhere? When did we play that? A couple days ago. Pretty funny stuff. Pretty good. Pretty good. You know what else is pretty good? The economy that's taking names and kicking ass right now as new inflation numbers have come in. We've seen a skyrocketing of after the fall yesterday, awaiting the inflation numbers and the jobs numbers coming out over the course of the last several days. Inflation continues to go down, knocking in at 2.4%.
Well, Kate, look, this is some encouraging news on the cost of living, right? Inflation took a big step in the right direction to start the year off. So consumer prices up by 2.4% year over year. That is an improvement from 2.7% in December that beat expectations, which were for 2.5%. In fact, this is a new 8-month low for annual inflation, month over month. Prices up by 0.2%, also a step in the right direction, also beating expectation. Now, economists look really closely at core inflation, which excludes food and energy. Core inflation came in at 2.5%. That's notable because that's the lowest annual inflation rate for core since March of 2021, before the inflation crisis.
So inflation continues to go down as Republicans do their damnedest to address the affordability issues that so many voters are worried about. And I was talking about this yesterday on Angela Bellacamino's podcast about what Republicans can actually do to address this problem. Things are getting more expensive. Interest rates are getting out of control. Banks are making more and more money. Houses are unaffordable. Young people are living at home for longer. They're waiting longer to get married. They're waiting longer to have kids. And all of that comes down to decades and decades and decades worth of unaffordability. For example, college tuition has gone up more than 1,000% since 1998. Yet the education level continues to go down. Yet the number of enrolled students continues to go down. Yet for some reason, the colleges are charging more and more money to attend their crappier and crappier schools. Now, I've long proposed a very easy way to stop this from happening. Perhaps if there's any members of Congress watching this right now, they might, take me up on my offer to help them out and give them a winning strategy. Let's see if that happens. There's a better chance of me finding Savannah Guthrie's mom than having that happen. We could actually get some real reform in this country, but apparently we're not going to do it. A few more updates for the slow and stupid Saturday edition of the show, where we look to our friends in Washington. Because Americans are actually starting to wake up to something. Most Americans are starting to accept and realize it, that apparently we've been pushed under a fog for the last several years when it comes to trans people. Now, you want to be a dude, you want to wear a dress, you want to transition, you want to have a good time, whatever blows your hair back. But do not, under any circumstances, expect the rest of us to alter the reality on the ground for you living in a fantasy. Well, we must look to Pramila Jayapal. She, of course, is the Ringo Starr of the squad. She has decided that now would be a very good time to bring the, quote, Trans Bill of Rights to Congress as Washington State fights to protect men in women's sports. Jayapal co-chairs the, you ready for this committee? The Congressional Transgender Equality Task Force. Yep, checks notes. Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that at all. We're going to have some fun with it. Of course, naturally, Ed Markey in the Senate has jumped on. Ed Markey was the Senate sponsor of the Green New Deal that no Democrat voted for. Squad member Pramila Jayapal is once again proposing federal protections for transgender Americans, even as voters in her own state are advocating a ballot initiative aimed at restricting men from playing in women's sports. Ed Markey and Jayapal introduced what they're calling the Transgender Bill of Rights. We don't need a Transgender Bill of Rights because we have a Bill of Rights that protects all of us. A resolution first unveiled in 2023. The measure lays out broad federal framework intended to protect transgender and non-binary people from discrimination and ensure access to medical care, housing, and public accommodations. Of course, this doesn't make any sense because the concept of being non-binary doesn't make any sense. Watch. I'm non-binary. Therefore, you have to accept it. That's not the way subcategories work. Markey said the resolution affirms what he called the basic principle that trans rights are human rights, which, of course, is not a sentence. Everyone's rights are basic rights. Everyone's rights are human rights. However, we got to make sure that, look, I keep highlighting the idiots on the squad because I need you all to make sure that people are understanding how important it is to get out and get involved. This goes from sea to shining sea. Ed Markey is from Massachusetts. Pramila Jayapal is from Seattle. And then in the middle, there's 3,000 miles worth of people who are normal.
Too often when we discuss trans rights, we're on the defensive, discussing how to protect trans people from horrific Republican attacks and how to ensure that trans people can live authentically in our communities. Today, though, we are not on the defensive. We are looking forward with the Trans Bill of Rights. We are laying out a
I just want to be clear. I'm really happy that these people are freezing. I'm really happy that they went out there to freeze their asses off for absolutely no reason.
Comprehensive vision to provide protections for transgender and non-binary people. A vision.
What does that mean?
That ensures that every single person has a chance to thrive.
That's not a sentence. Everyone does have a chance to thrive, you dithering idiot. But Democrats won't get the message. Moreover, Republicans won't get the message. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's new polling out that would suggest, and this is true, that the Democratic Party has become far too radical over the course of the last 30 years. Now, why do I point this out? I point this out because as we move into the midterms, I continue to be very terrified of what's going to happen because Republicans cannot remove head from ass long enough to get anything done. Even as massive polling coming out saying that liberals are getting way too radical, Republicans are unable to jump on message and actually put forth an aggressive strategy to win back the midterms.
So we're talking about the Democratic base, right? But what about all Americans, right? How about all voters? Voters who say the Democrats are now too liberal. Look at this percentage. It was 42% in 96, 48% in 2013, now 58% in 2025 of all voters say that the Democratic Party is too liberal. The Democrats are moving to the left, the far left is gaining power, and there could be some electoral repercussions because what we see right now is voters, the clear majority, say that they are too liberal.
Now, why does this matter? If you see the middle number here, let me put that back up for you.
So we're talking about the Democratic base.
If you see the middle number here, a 48% back in 2013 that thought the Democrats were too radical. That was following the Tea Party wave, where Republicans picked up like 60 seats in the House of Representatives. Why? Because with the Tea Party wave, they were able to stay on message. They were able to promote, to have a clear path. A clear, this is what we are for. Right now, I don't know what Republicans stand for, except for, I don't know. The reason why Democratic Socialists are doing so well in this country is because they're offering people what they consider to be an affirmative good. I think it's absolutely terrifying, as we saw the 20th person die this week in New York City from freezing to death. But the DSA is out there in full force. I want to put this into context, and this will be the clip for the show. Let's put the radicalism of the Democratic Party in full frame right here. During the Zohran Mamdani campaign, Hassan Piker and Linda Sarsour were both campaign advisors to that campaign. Two people who openly support terrorism. However, every Republican candidate on planet Earth is worried about what the New York Times is going to say if they hire me, a normal, moderate populist. And I am not alone here. That also goes from sea to shining sea. with election operatives all over the place, afraid to get involved with the MAGA movement, afraid to even discuss the America First movement, afraid to even address our concerns in any way, shape, or form. And then you wonder why you guys are going to get blown the fuck out in November. Sorry. Trying to be better. Trying to be better with the F word. Then you guys wonder why this is happening. Just blew that clip. I'm going to have to redo that one later. We'll fix it in post. The DSA is winning elections by hiring actual terrorists. Hassan Piker, a guy who said that his preferred form of socialism was Maoist China. Those aren't my words. Those are his words. Democrats are embracing their base while Republicans are running away from theirs. I don't want them to lose. But when they do, that's going to be the reason why. That's going to be the reason why. And it doesn't have to be. I don't know. We'll see if some of them wake up. Guys, you know what? It's 4 o'clock, but we got a couple minutes left. Let's pop the live chat up. Anybody got any good Valentine's Day plans? Since I wrapped that up a little bit early, we got about 30 seconds left. Brandon Carr, Brandon Campbell, Howard Lutnick's not going to sleep with you. He's not going to sleep with you. He's from Jericho, though. You can go check him out. Brandon Campbell says, I'm the base you guys are running from. Really? Tell me about your electoral prowess. Tell me about all the elections you've won. Tell me about anything you've done other than bitch online. But that's the problem. That's what most people do. Guys, it's 4 p.m. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Brandon, I purposely didn't mention that. As a matter of fact, look, I've actually got the story queued up right here, but just because you're a giant pain in my ass, I decided not to talk about it. Look, there it is. I decided not to talk about it just to bother you. Guys, I'll catch you guys back live on Monday. Until then, everybody, stay loud.